Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the shop. I'm Kevin Cheney, and this is my blacksmith shop, Red Maple Forge. And today, we're gonna make arrowheads. Well, medieval arrow, well, loosely, kind of inspired by medieval arrowheads. So, steel-wise, I'm gonna be using 3/8 square. So I did these guys a couple of Fridays ago, and I was using 3/8 round. And I kind of just want to try it with my 3/8 square. This is just mild steel, hot rolled. Nothing too special. We'll get that into the forge. Get that heated up. The forge is a little bit chilly still, so we're gonna turn up the heat a little bit. Yeah, so today there's gonna be a couple different tools that I'll be using. I don't have a bic. A bic? Is it a bic or a bit? Anyways, that goes into my hardy hole to smooth out the shafts a little bit. So I've actually taken just a chip and hammer for welding. And I have, let's see if this camera will pick it up a little better. I have rounded off the end of it to be what I think is going to be the size I need for it. And this guy is going to just get chucked up into my vise as best as I can. And that way I can smooth out the shafts that I didn't do last time. So on the last ones, this is one of the guys I made. And because I didn't have that little bic or bit, whatever, I think it's a bic, B-I-C. I couldn't get these like perfectly round. So this will allow me to go on top of this and actually get those a little bit more smooth and round. And the reason why I've moved up to square is I want a little bit more material, as well as having it already squared. Doing the point might be a little bit easier. Also, I have a ton of it in the rack over there that I really don't use it for anything else, maybe the odd hook here and there. So I figured, let's use it up. So it's kind of like a scrap metal Friday on a Thursday. It's one of those things it's like, what am I gonna do today? And I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do arrowheads. They're actually kind of fun, even though I only did 4 of them the first time around. I do have new safety glasses. They're just in the house, and I didn't bring them out. So we'll do with these today. So I have made a change with the cameras. So it's the same cameras that I had before, but I've locked the focus. So hopefully that helps a little bit. It gets a little bit of the jitter out of this main camera. If you probably noticed, it hasn't jittered any. So I'm hoping that helps a little bit. I try to get the focus as much as possible, as close as what I can for working at the anvil. It seems okay. I have a small screen I'm looking at, so unfortunately, I can't I can't see exact details, especially from this distance, but it doesn't look too bad. So I'm hoping that helps with the jitter a little bit. This camera as well, I have locked the focus. I have fixed the colors a little bit too, so it's not washed out as much. So I made the focus to focus as much as I can on the anvil. I might actually drop that. No, I think that's a good position for it. So hopefully that prevents, I'm gonna still get a little bit of bounce while I forge. Sorry, my cameras just have to be as close as they are. So, and they sit on the floor that vibrates. but hopefully that changes the issue where it's focusing off. I noticed that yesterday's video, for whatever reason, this camera, the second camera, the one for the anvil camera, was going a little bit more wonky than I would like. So I'm hoping those two changes fixes it. I played around with the colors a little bit. Now that I got a bright sunny day, play with the colors a little bit, get them smoothed out a little bit so the video looks a little better. I've also increased my my mic a little bit. I noticed that yesterday's video, it was a little bit low. So I've also increased my mic a little bit. So, you know, if you're watching this a little bit later, you actually made it this far in the video, let me know what you think. Does it look better? Does it sound a little bit nicer? And also, if you could stick around to the forging, can you tell me if my cameras are bouncing a little bit too much or whatever? Like I said, I can't get all the bounce out yet, but I will work on it. Now, the last time I did these was actually the first time I actually did an arrowhead. So I'm hoping that I learned something and remember some stuff. So I'm going to start on the near side of the anvil. I'm going to grab about an inch of material. And I'm going to start spreading that out. I'm going to switch over to my cross piece. I'm going to spread this out, starting with the center and then slowly working out a little bit more. I'm going for roughly about 1 millimeter thick. Not sure what that is in imperial. You guys can do the math. Basically the thickness of 18 gauge steel. What your car panel is probably. Like the panels on a car. So as you can see, I'm using my 2-pound hammer today. Don't really need much more than that. Other tools I'll be using today, along with the Bic, I'll be using my hot cut. I'm just going to put it over here for now. Hopefully that doesn't get too warm by the forge. Hopefully. Maybe I'll do this. There you go. Put the insulation block up a little bit. Maybe protect it a little bit longer. Now, of course, as the steel cools down, it will make heating it up a lot quicker. So if you are using a coal forge, you definitely want to keep an eye on how hot you're making this, because this will be really easy to burn. So now that I got this close to the thickness I want, I'm actually going to take another heat on that. Yeah, that bar is a little bit warm up there. I'm going to take another heat on that. Just flatten it out just a little bit more. And then we'll start doing the curl on it, or making the socket to go on the bolt. I know I will not be anywhere near what the guys in the old days used to make of these. It was not uncommon for them to make 75 to 100 of these in a working day. And that was very common for their quota. Obviously, that depends on what style they are making. You got to think, in the summertime, that was a lot easier to hit than in the winter, because most of the time their working day was from sun up to sundown. So just the last time I did these out of the round, I only got 4 done. And I think that was like an hour and a half. So it was a little bit off of that 75 to 100 a day. Of course, those people, that's all they would specialize in, is doing those arrowheads. They actually wouldn't do anything else other than the heads. So we're gonna go over to the, let's switch up the cameras. I'm gonna go over to the shelf. And I'm gonna start curling this over. And as I'm doing that, I'm gonna start rolling the steel to try and get that socket started. Now first I'm going to try and get one underneath the other, one side underneath the other, and then I'll start rolling it on the anvil. So it looks kind of like that. And if you notice, right up in here, we got a little bit of a gap when you roll it over. So on the next heat, we're actually going to smooth that out a little bit. And there's actually a difference they noticed in Roman arrowheads to medieval arrowheads. And that is, with the Roman ones, they actually left that gap or opening alone. They just didn't do anything with it. Where the medieval ones, they actually made a little bit of an hourglass shoulder on that top of that socket to close that up a little bit. And some of them got so good that that actually was closed up completely. And it actually makes a little bit stronger arrowhead. So because I do a lot of medieval fairs, I'm going to do it more of the medieval style. And how we do that is we actually go over to the horn of the anvil and we start making that taper and start bringing that kind of shoulder of the socket into an hourglass. If you notice, I'm not really wailing away at the steel. We're kind of doing more where we're letting the anvil do the work and not the hammer. Then we'll come over. There's some spots that are being a little bit more stubborn. We'll come over to the edge of the anvil. We'll actually bring that down a little bit more. So this one I probably won't get fully closed up. It's definitely a lot more closed up than it was before. So we'll probably do one more heat like that, just to see how much we can close that up. And I'm just using the flat side of my hammer. Obviously, I'm using a cross peen. And I'm not really hitting this hard at all. just trying to close that up. Now that we got it mostly closed up, I'm going to go over to my bit, which you're probably not going to see too well. And I'm going to actually start shaping this socket a little bit more. At this stage, I'm not wailing on it. This is more of a plenishing kind of hit, a really light hit. So we got that socket roughly where I want it. There's definitely things I can do to improve on the next one, and that is stuff that I'm gonna note. But at this point, now that we got that socket nice, it is time to cut it off. So we get the hot cut going. This one is a butcher hot cut, where it's straight up and down and then a curl angle or bevel on the opposite side would work a little bit better. My hot cut is beveled on both sides, much like an axe blade. So we will do what we have to do. Oh, and another thing I'm going to grab is I'm going to grab my round nose tongs, or scroll-in tongs, some people like to call. Now on the last ones I did, I actually took a little bit too much steel when I was cutting off. So this time I'm only taking maybe 3/4 of an inch of steel from the top of the socket. And again, like every time I'm using my hot cut, I won't cut all the way through on the hot cut. I will do most of the way and then break it off. I will put that piece aside for now, and we'll get this guy. We'll get this guy into the forge. See if I can find, so you see the top of the socket there. So we'll get that forged out. Unfortunately, with these tongs, they end up getting stuck sometimes in the socket. So that's something that you might need to pay attention to. So these are my scroll-in tongs. These guys I picked up at Princess Auto, which is like the Canadian Harbor Freight. I got them when they were on sale, and you know what? They have bent out of shape up here a little bit, and you just slightly heat them up and straighten them out again. You know, but they've been holding up very well. I'm actually really happy with them. They're made by a company, SMF Canada is stamped on it, so I guess that's a company in Canada. So yeah, I got their V-bit tongs too, the 3/8 V-bit, and I'm really happy with those too. So we're just gonna just taper this out. Depending on how much of a curve you want on it, you can also do the taper on the bit. And that will give you a kind of a bevel taper. That's if you want that. Probably would do it a little bit further down on the bit myself. So there it is with the square taper. And quite frankly, this is, you know, good enough that probably it would have been, you know, if you put this on a bolt, it would probably go, it would go through something. But what most of them did, they actually turned them into more of a diamond shape, so almost oblong kind of thing. So I will be doing that with these guys. One thing a really good arrowhead maker would have done is he would have got this as close as possible to a finished product, where basically all they would have to do is take a file to sharpen it. Which, to be honest, would have been done by someone else for the most part. So we're just going to make this into a diamond. Take some time to clean up our lines a little bit. I'm going to actually work both sides, like all four sides. And sometimes that's a little bit easier than said than done. And this is my first finish arrowhead. So that's one. Let's get into doing another one. Now normally I don't like leaving my hot cut in my anvil, solely because I don't want to accidentally hit it. As much as possible, you shouldn't be leaving the hot cut into your anvil because of that, accidentally hitting it. So we'll just wait for this one to heat up a little bit more. I'll put my tongs to the side for now, because we won't need them until we cut it off. Trying to keep my anvil clean like always. Just don't like putting scale back into pieces if I don't need to. Yeah, so we're just going to repeat the process. Now the first one I actually did it on a diagonal just to see how it would work. And this one I'm not. I'm actually going on one of the flat sides. I want to see what the difference is between the two. So we'll just spread this out. Start from the middle and start working that out with the cross piece. Get that heated up again. And I'm going to be bringing this down, like I said, to about 1 millimeter. So if you didn't know, I stream this on both Twitch and YouTube, and I do have the chats up there, Twitch, YouTube, and so if you're on while live, you have some questions or comments or just general chit chat, feel free to to put it up there, and I'll try and answer when I notice it. Getting there. So I'm going to take one more heat at this, and I'm going to try and square it off as much as possible. Obviously, the more square you get those corners, the easier it is to have a nice socket. So I am going to take a little bit extra time to make sure I get those nice and clean. And because I still have a little bit of heat left, I'm going to start curling that in. Again, I'm just using the shelf as a little bit of a V to start that curling around. Yeah. And then once I get it to almost about, I don't know, halfway, I will start curling this in. Now, which side goes underneath and which side goes above, that is personal preference to you. You just have to make sure one goes underneath the other. And then once you get that, you can start closing it up. So I'm going to start doing that hourglass shoulder a little bit. And actually on the last one, I probably could have made that shoulder a little bit more like smaller. I probably could have forged that a little bit more in. So this one I'm going to actually forge in a little bit more. So again, I'm just using the horn of the anvil or the bit of the anvil to work that shoulder a little bit more. I'm not doing heavy blows here, quite light. I'm letting the anvil do the work, not the hammer. I notice a little bit, going a little bit askew, I will go over to the corner of my anvil and actually bring them down a little bit. Let's bring the second camera over to the vise where my makeshift bit is. Let's see if we can. I got to remember that I got to put it on the other side of the anvil. I mean of the vise, so you guys can see me actually work because I'm right-handed. There's actually one side of this where it started getting a little bit where the side that's supposed to go underneath is actually on top or on the same level. So I just want to take some time to straighten that out as well. I should move my water bucket. And these are really light taps I'm doing. Not doing anything really hard at this point. I'm just trying to make that socket as nice and round as I can. If you're making these to a certain size, you can easily put a little mark on your bit to where you want it. So now that we got that done, we'll go back and cut that off and start doing the tip of this, the working end. I should put marks on the floor where this sits. Let's just double check where that is. That should be, I think I'm a little bit more over than I used to be. Let's try and center that a little bit. There you go. That probably is close. So again, we're going to put our hot cut in here. Going to make sure I have my tongs at the ready. And again, taking about 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna sever this almost off completely. Go over to the tongs and just break that off. Now I still have a little bit of heat in here, so I'm going to start tapering this. And then I will go in for another heat, round that up, not round, diamond that up. And then this one will be done. If I can get it off my tongs. To be honest, I could probably use these tongs as a bit. I really need a clock so I can see what time it is. I keep on saying that and then I don't get a clock. So 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours, roughly. Not too bad, I guess. So now that I got the diamond started, just gonna go clean up all the lines as much as I can. Make sure everything is straight. A little bit, going a little bit off. And that is number 2. That's number 2 done. Keep on forgetting that I have to move it the opposite way that I see. That's number 2. Let's get number 3 going. So now, would they actually have more than one piece of steel in the forge at a time? With these guys, I don't think they would. I actually think they would only do one at a time. And the reason is because they are spreading out that socket so much. Sorry. They are spreading out that socket too much, that if they weren't really paying attention when it's in the coal, it would be really easy to burn. So I honestly think that they would have actually just did one at a time. So again, I'm grabbing about roughly 1 inch, spreading it out, and then I'm going to use the cross peen, starting from the middle, and then slowly work our way towards the end. Sorry guys, let me just check something. Sorry. The joys of trying to run a business while doing live streams. Anyways, so we're going to spread this out. I'm going to be bringing the sides as square as possible to each other. Flattening this out to roughly about 1 millimeter. Okay, we're going to come over to the shelf. We're going to hit with our cross peen right into that kind of upright on our shelf. We're going to curve it as we go so we can start doing kind of a scoop. Then we're going to start bringing one side underneath the other. We're not going to do really heavy hits here. Now we're going to make a nice shoulder at the very top of our the socket, using the bit or the horn of the anvil. And as we hit, we're just going to rotate it around. And this is going to cause kind of an hourglass look for a nice shoulder. What we're trying to do is we're trying to close up that very top so there's not really that much of a hole left at the top. So I'll probably do another heat on that just to get a really nice shoulder. I notice my shoulder is not being perfectly symmetrical or even on both sides. I'll come in on the corner of the anvil, knock down any higher sides, and then smooth out everything on the bit. Pop over to my bick. Now, if you have a spot on your anvil, if your anvil horn is actually a lot nicer than mine, where it's not, you know, almost half an inch or so before it starts, you know, at the end, you have a really nice pointy horn, which for a lot of times that's not the case. You could use the end of your horn to make the socket look a little bit nicer. Mine actually closed up a little bit too much, so I'm just going to use my scrolling tongs a little bit to open it up a little bit so I can get it actually over my bit. And here I'm just lightly tapping it over the bick, and trying just to make an even socket. And then I'm going to get ready to cut that piece off. This one I didn't spread out the socket as much as I should have, so it's not a perfect perfect socket like I would like. This is one of those things that the more you practice, the better you get at it. So, like everything, I guess. So I'm coming in roughly a 3/4, almost a full inch above the top of the socket. And I'm going to start cutting this off. Now I'm not going to cut it all the way with the hot cut. I'm going to do it most of the way and then snap it off. That piece I will put in the forge now, so it can be nice and warm by the time I'm done this one. And I'm just tapering down, nice square taper. Coming back, cleaning up that taper a little bit, cleaning up that line. I'm going to start making them a little bit more diamond. Then I'm going to actually heat this up again. I think I grabbed it a little bit too much with my tongs. There we go. Get the hot cut out of the way. And now I'm just bringing this more to a diamond shape than a square. Cleaning up the lines a little bit. And that is number 3. As you can see in the socket, I didn't have quite enough steel to go right around. So I'll keep an eye on that for the next one. My poor anvil is getting a little bit dinged up a little bit. Unfortunately, old Peter here is over 100 years old and his face is a little bit soft. And that's just the years of use. It's kind of worn down his face to the point where it's no longer hard. So It's real easy to ding them up. So we're just going to continue spreading this out. Making sure I spread out those corners as well. Take a moment, plenish a little bit. Plenish a little bit, make it a little bit cleaner. I will probably go over this again with heat. Yeah. So again, just plenishing it a little bit, cleaning it up. Taking it over to the shelf, start curling that around. I'm going to start with bringing in the bottom first this time around. Then I'm going to look at what side I think is better from spreading out, which side I think is better. And I'll put the better side on the outside. So we'll get a heat on that. We'll finish curling that around. Again, with this being so thin, it does not take long to get back up the heat. So we're just going to work one side down a little bit. We don't want to go too crazy working them in, because we don't want to squish it, because that will just make our lives a little bit harder. If you do get a little bit of crunching, I kind of did, where one side's gone too far in, it's better to fix it up once you notice it than move forward and make a mucky mess to clean. So because I know I got one a little bit lower than what it should be, I'm going to take some time, my scrolling tongs, just to open that up again, ever so slightly. So when I continue to shape that, it won't collapse on itself and be impossible to bring back out. I think it's interesting how many people join on YouTube and then drop off. Interesting. What were you expecting? It's live in a blacksmith shop. Okay, so I'm going to finish rounding this off. And right now I'm not doing that hard of hits. You don't need to. This is really thin steel. Once I get where I roughly want it, I'm going to come in and do this shoulder a little bit, right on the front of the anvil. And this is just me playing around at different techniques to see which one is best. Because everything I do here might not work for you, and playing around is sometimes the best way to see how things work for you. And also, how fun is it to make arrowheads? I think it's pretty fun. Now, I'm just looking at the ones I did previous with the round compared to the square. And I'm going to say that the round was easier to get that hole at the top closed right up. That's interesting. It could be that I just spent more time trying to get them closed up. So. That's actually really close. Yeah, that's really nice and close. Almost got that closed right up. So I'm just going to go over to the bit, make this a little bit nicer. That is pretty well. My shaft on this one, really nice and clean on that. Kind of clean. A little bit more on the bottom where it's not perfectly like nice edge around the whole bottom. Maybe I need to focus a little bit more on that. And now we cut it off after I get coffee. We'll start tapering this down. I actually grabbed a little smaller piece for the end on this one. See how this one looks. Get a little more heat on that. I will say that more people are viewing my live stream, not sticking around. I realized that if I had this at a later time in the day, I might get more people. This is not very much a great time for North America, as in, you know, it's middle of the afternoon on a weekday. I'm actually going to try this on the bit. I saw one guy do this when he was making arrowheads, where he actually used the bit to do the head of it. And I'm wondering if that is a better way to do it. I just got to remember that I am actually using the bit, and that it's not that easy to straighten up because I have a curve. There we go. Number 4. Number 4? Yeah, number 4 done. Number 4 done. Let's get on to number 5, shall we? This time I'm actually going to see if I can just spread it out enough with just my flat. I don't think I can. Just try with the flat and see. I don't think I can. I think it's spreading too far up as well. I think. So this one might fail very quickly. Again, don't need a lot of heat on these guys. These guys will get warm very quickly. So I abandoned the flat side, and I'm just going to use my cross peen to finish off, trying to get this as square as possible on the end so I can have a little bit nicer bottom of my shaft, socket, sorry, bottom of my socket. I still have a little bit of material in the middle that I can pull out to the sides. There we go. I think that's flat enough. That's funny, I complain about not having a clock that I can see, and I have one on my wrist. Yeah, I know. I know. We're going to go in right on the shelf. We're going to start curling this over. I'm going to first start at the bottom this time. See, maybe possibly bringing that over from the bottom will help. Basically making it more round before I close this up. So we're getting there, getting there. I got the socket starting to get rounded off more, I'm going to keep on moving it, keep on circling it, close it up. And then once I got the socket pretty well formed, I'll go back on the bit and start making that shoulder. Going to work that shoulder a little bit more. I kind of want a little bit more hourglass in this one. And again on this, I'm not really hitting it all that hard. I'm letting the anvil or the horn do the work here. And this one, the socket looks pretty good when I look down it. It looks pretty round, so I'm not going to go over to the bick on this one. I'm going to grab roughly 3/4 of an inch again. I'm going to go almost all the way. Take another pair of tongs, cut that off. Put that piece in the forge. That one's getting a little bit short, so we'll see how many more I can get out of it without using tongs. Actually, I got another piece already set up, just in case if that gets a little too short. But I think I can get one more out of that before it gets too hot to handle. Maybe two. Obviously with tongs I can get a lot more out of it. So we're going to square this off. Nice point. And this one I might leave a little bit more square. So I might want a square one. I don't know. I changed my mind. I'm diamonding this. And there we go. Number 5. Oh, I should show you. I'm sorry. Number 5. Yeah, you can't focus. Okay, switch cameras. Number 5. Number 5 done. Let's get one more. Let's get one more out. Let's get one more out before the weekend. before the long weekend. This time I'm making the shaft a little bit shorter. I don't know if I'm going to like this, but let's go. Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. It's getting close to time for a haircut. So surprised chat is a little bit quiet today. No one wants to talk to me. That's okay. I'll just entertain myself. So how I'm going to finish off these guys, probably be a wire wheel, quick wire wheel. I'm not going to go crazy with them. I might do beeswax. I think I'm going to put beeswax on these guys. Yeah, my standard wire wheel at beeswax. Yeah. I think they'll look sharp. Like that. Not like really sharp. I mean like look-wise. They're going to look really smart. This is one of those things where if I had a power hammer, I think this, like a small one, maybe a 25 pounder, would make these go so fast. Actually, I probably would just destroy the steel because of how thin I'm putting this. I might take a heat on that. I might spread that just a little bit. Yeah, a little bit more. Might spread that a little bit more. Yeah. Whoop. Whoop. Just hitting random buttons up there. Yeah, I'm gonna spread this a little bit more. I'm actually using my flat side slightly as a fuller by going down on an angle with this, and then I'll come in more flat just to clean up some of those marks. On the one side, it's kind of got a little bit of going on, so I'm gonna take a little bit of time to see if I can get just a little bit more stretch out of that one corner and pull it out. See if I can make this one the best looking one. No pressure though, no pressure. Do the same thing on the other side, just to kind of make those sides a little bit more square that you can't see. I'm gonna plenish it a little bit. From what's gonna be the inside. This is something I haven't done on the other ones. So I'm going to plenish it a little bit on the inside, hopefully smooth out the outside a little bit. And it's actually an interesting thing. What happens if I do it the opposite way? I don't know. going to do a little bit something different on this one, just to see if this does make it a little bit easier to make the shoulder. I'm actually going to take down that inside little notch a little bit before I start curling it. I'm actually taking more note on the shoulder this time around to see if that helps. With everything about this. So right now I'm trying to set that one side a little bit lower down. So we're getting close to getting this rolled over. We'll get enough heat on that. Keep the anvil clean like always. So right now I got the two sides actually kind of hitting each other. So I'm trying to force the one side underneath, but it's not. I'm gonna have to probably open this up. I'm gonna have to open this up. So I'm gonna go over my Bic. And open this up a little bit. Now if yours fold over nicely, you shouldn't have to do this. But I have the one side is just not behaving, and it's interlocked itself with the other side. So I'm just trying to open that up a little bit. Sorry, a little bit of fumbling around on this one. That looks a lot better. Looks so much better. Now we're just doing light taps just to close up both sides. Get that socket looking nice and round. Gonna look down, see how it looks. At this point, if I need to, I'll go over to the bic, and spread it open or shrink it if I need to. But I think that looks pretty round. So I'm gonna skip that and go straight on making that shoulder. I was like, I thought I made 5. Yeah, one's kind of slid underneath the anvil. Whoop. There we go, 5. Okay, like before, I'm actually going to start on the corner of the anvil. I'm going to start working this down. Now, probably in the old days, they would just actually use the bic that would sit in their hardy hole. Actually, they probably wouldn't even have had a hardy hole. It would have just been probably something spiked in the same stump that their anvil was spiked in. There we go, got that nice and closed up a little bit. I might take another heat just to clean that up. Just clean that up a little bit. And this is probably going to be the last one for today. Do 6. Yeah, 6. Which isn't too bad, I think, considering that this is only my, I think, 10th one I've done so far. Yeah, go back, straighten up everything. Now, I'm not actually hitting the end of the shaft right at this point in time. I'm going to get another heat on that before I start cutting it. Gives me a chance to get the hot cut into the hardy hole. And I'll get my tongs ready. I'm actually using that little gap at the top, but I still have a little bit of a gap at the top of the socket to judge where I need to cut this. I'm going to go most of the way, like always, most of the way. Break it off with my tongs. That piece will go to the side, and that will get, actually I just noticed my socket got a little bit out of skew for some reason. That's weird. My socket got all messed up. So I want to fix that before I go any further. So that would be over on the bic. I'm calling it a bic. I think it's a bic. Yeah, I'm going to call it bic. Yeah, bic. Like I said, if you have a horn, you don't need a horn that has a good tip to it, you can just use that and not worry about mucking around with a bic. That looks so much better. That looks so much, see, that looks so much more round. I'm not sure what happened there. It is one of the downsides of propane. It heats up too much sometimes. With a coal forge, you can really isolate that heat and get only on that head. Not really worry about mucking up that shoulder. Or mucking up that socket, I should say. So we're just gonna taper this off. I tried to go right to a diamond. That did not work out very well. And it got stuck on my tongs. So we'll clean it up a little bit. Get those lines a little bit nicer. We'll get that guy finished off. Oh, it's warm in here. So right now I'm just cleaning up the lines, trying to make them look as neat and tidy as I can. Might take a dye heat on that. Just try and clean up those lines a little bit more. Whew. Just trying to find a nice edge to clean that up a little bit more. It's sometimes a challenge on this anvil. And I think that is pretty good. So that would be number 6 today. And with that, I think we are gonna call it a day. Yeah, call it a day. So that's 6 and a little bit shy of an hour and a half. That's pretty good, I think, considering that would be my first 10 of them I've made. So we'll call that a day. Thanks for watching, and yeah, have a good long weekend for anyone that does. And I'll see you guys on Monday for a beautiful maintenance in the shop day, tool, maybe shop improvement. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen on Maintenance Monday. So have a good weekend, guys, and I'll see you Monday. Thanks for watching. If you do like this, hit that like button, subscribe. I'm on Twitch as well and YouTube. So if you have a Twitch account, I would love it if you go over there and follow me. And yeah, thanks for watching.